Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Align to Your Consistent Income 5-day challenge. I'm so excited to have you here. If you don't know this, this is actually my very first challenge that I've ever run. So let's expect that there are going to be some blips, like starting late. Okay, starting late was absolutely one of them, trying to figure out the technology. I guess I don't have permission set up for Zoom to stream into this group, so we're going to have to figure that one out a little bit. So today's is actually a pre-recorded video, and I'm so sorry for that. I really wanted to be here live instead of pre-recorded, but sometimes you have to roll with what's available. So welcome. I'm so excited. I've never done a 5-day challenge before. So if you have, and you're seeing things that I could do better, please, I am delighted to receive feedback. I want the next one to be even better. My next challenge is actually about a lead generating challenge. So there you go. I think that in this group, we have a real mixed bag of experienced and inexperienced people when it comes to using the universal laws to attract and manifest into our lives those things that we desire. Now, if you don't know me already, hi, I'm Danielle Wilson, and I help women in business who value authenticity and security and freedom to create consistent $10,000 months. Usually my clients are actually looking to achieve their very first $10,000 month. And of course, the way that we do that, we're pre-building in systems and processes that are going to help ensure that you can do that and repeat that every month thereafter. So if you are trying to manifest your very first $10,000 month, you are in the right place. If you have already hit that $10,000 mark and now you're trying to get to the next level, still in the right place, because we haven't set a number on this challenge. We've simply said consistent income. So I hope that you are sitting comfortably. If you have not yet received your workbook via email, will you please do me a quick favor? You can either drop your comment down below here, or you can contact me via DM. Just from the whole perspective of the way things are changing in Facebook, and I think I was in Facebook jail recently, so I want to make sure I'm kind of being on the up and up here as far as Facebook. Would you mind please sharing your email address with me, and I will forward you a copy of this wonderful workbook that I've created. All right, to that end, I'm actually going to share that with you right now. All righty, so here we are. Let me actually bring that over here. Let me bring that over here, because having it over here means that I can still look here and talk to you, and that is my preference. So let's do that. There we go. Okay, so today we are actually going to be talking about how there are actually 12 universal laws. Many of us, when we think of manifesting, we actually think of, well, if I just think about it, and if I just be a good person, I have positive thoughts, then it's going to come my way. And the reason I wanted to do this is because there's a lot more to manifesting than just thinking it, wishing it, and then it will come into your life. There are alignments that we need to create within our mind, body, and soul to the universe that actually create like an open highway, if you will, back and forth between us and the universe, and the reciprocity that's available to us. So the first thing we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how there are actually 12 universal laws, and they all work synergistically together. So if you're already on a track where you are trying to do affirmations and get yourself up to a higher vibration, where you are transmuting lower energies, and I'm using a lot of lingo here, which I'm not a big fan of. So if you want to manifest something, there are certain laws that we need to abide by. These are esoteric. They're that kind of, spiritual, higher self place. They're those. They are also in the physical world, because as above, so below. And really, that's what the very first law is. What is happening up here is also happening physically. So if you were to look, for example, at the laws of physics that were created by, those guys like Einstein, you would actually be able to start to see what some of the manifestation rules are and laws of the universe are, because they're very similar. The language might be a little bit different, but very similar. So I'm going to bring you down to page 2. If you've got your workbook, feel free to follow along with me in there. But you can see that there are 12 laws, and let's talk about them in reasonable order. These are based on the 7 Hermetic laws, which are very old, ancient laws of spirituality, and we've expanded on them to include physical rules of science that have been created in the last 100 to 150 years. Simply because one of the laws themselves is actually that as above, so below. So if there is a spiritual, esoteric kind of law, there's actually going to be one in the physical world as well. Because no matter which religion, no matter which spiritual track you have followed, you will see that there is an order to things. So the very first law, this one here, the law of divine oneness, this is saying that whatever there are laws about that are happening here or as above, if you are a person who doesn't think of it as the universe, if instead you think of this as God, which is certainly the concept I grew up with, was the concept of God, then it's the same idea. So what's happening above is happening below. So even in the Bible, they say that God made man in his image. It is a spoken way of identifying actually the same law. So even in all of our what's the word, our canon, our religious canon, we are also speaking to these laws. So it won't be difficult for us to adjust our mind just ever so slightly and go, oh, okay, I see that. When we are talking about manifesting, though, most people are talking about law number 3, and that's this one right here, the law of attraction. Like attracts like. So positive attracts positive and negative attracts negative. So when we're talking about those, I'm just going to stop sharing the screen with you at the moment because I think it might be nicer maybe to just see me instead of the book. And I'm just going to kind of rearrange some screens here a little bit. So the law of resonance is actually the one that's really important. The law of attraction does not work on its own. These other laws need to be in place as well in our understanding of them so that we are making these minor fluid adjustments to what we're doing to actually help to allow that attraction to happen. So if the law of attraction says that like attracts like, positive attracts positive, then we know that it's important that we are positive minded, or at least making efforts to get there. Here's the thing. You are going to have negative thoughts. You just are. So you have an option though. You can berate yourself for having those negative thoughts, or you can applaud yourself for having those negative thoughts and say, wow, look at me uncovering yet another limiting belief I've got. Wow, look at me having another opportunity to transmute more lower frequency energy that's dragging me down and not letting me reach my full potential. The thing about the universe is it wants to give you, right? So if you think about this in a God perspective or a universe perspective, it wants to give you what you want and need. It wants to elevate you to a higher place. It wants to see you evolve, enlightened, because when we do that, then that creates a balance, a homeostasis in our entire interconnected network of living and unliving things. And so when we see that first one, the law of divine oneness, where it says that everything is connected, I want you to imagine for one moment, everything you've ever heard about Aboriginal or First Nations ways of being, their concepts of spirituality. And it's the idea that every single thing, alive or not alive, and by not alive, let's say a rock, they are actually connected. And the reason they are actually connected is because every single thing that is manifested in the physical world is made of energy. So energy that vibrates at a different frequency then becomes closer knit, and that's how we get manifestation in the physical world. And there's a lot more that goes on along behind that as well. If you're interested in learning more about this from an esoteric perspective, I do have a book. It's actually called The Tree of Life. And it is actually a Wicca book, and it actually talks about all of the 10 different spheres and stages of being that start with the initial thought of right? Because every single thing that we manifest has to start with So if you want more information about that, I'd be happy to share a book list with you. I have another book list I don't remember which page it's on in this guide. I do have more information about extended reading that you can read. So what I really wanted to focus on, though, with these 12 laws is, number one, we're all connected. We are all connected. All living and non-living things are connected. And so what that means is, if we're all connected, then we have this need, this desire, this drive to actually be good to one another, to be good to other living things, to take care of our planet, to be good stewards. And if we are doing something that's actually in opposition to that, so if we are behaving in ways that's actually destructive toward that, then we've actually stopped our chances of being able to manifest and attract the things that we want right kind of from there. So if you are in that mindset that is, well, it's all about me, it's every man for himself, I'm different, I'm unique, I'm special, that's the place to work. There you go. In terms of the law of attraction, though, we also need this law of resonance. And what this means is, sure, you can attract, like attracts like, but this law of resonance is actually about your vibrational frequency. And you may have heard that even emotions like love have a frequency, that your chakras have different frequencies, that negative energy, negative emotions have a much lower frequency. Higher frequency emotions are joy, love, elation, ecstasy, those kinds of things. So if our goal is to move from this more basic low frequency place into a higher frequency place, one of the ways that we can do that is by using affirmations. And we're going to talk about affirmations on day 3 because they really are very important to our ability to attract the things that we want in our life. But one of the things that we need to be careful of is how are we phrasing them? Because you've got this little thing in your brain. It's called the reticular activating system. So it's a little part of your brain that actually acts a little bit like a satellite navigation. So if you've ever, gone to a different country, a few years ago, just before COVID, we went to the UK and we rented a car, and I've never had a GPS built into my car before, but thank goodness we did, because when we got lost in the lowlands of Scotland, Danielle was freaking out on a one-way road that had traffic moving in 2 directions that was about this wide. I don't even think our car quite fit on it. So satellite navigation is going to help you no matter where you are never lost. Well, this is the beautiful thing about your reticular activating system. You're never lost. So what the reticular activating system does, I'm going to actually post a whole video for you about that. What it actually does is it helps you to focus on the things that you're thinking about, right? So if the initial thought is coming in, your reticular activating system then goes, oh, well, that's important to us. Oh, we want that. Okay, well, then I'll focus on that. So if you've ever said, oh, I've always, I thought, oh, I saw this cute little Coach bag and I thought I wanted that. Or if you, like my husband, decided that you wanted to get a pickup truck to help pull a new 5th wheel that you want to get as well. If you've ever noticed that, something that wasn't even in your field of awareness before, you have an initial thought and then suddenly you see it everywhere, that's actually your reticular activating system in action. Because that you think about, you focus on, or that which you focus on presents itself, however you want to look at that. So this is what's really cool about manifesting and attracting your abundance into your life, is that if you focus on that, that's what you're going to attract. And you're going to actually now, your reticular activating system here in the physical world is actually going to start taking notice. Oh, look, there was an opportunity. Oh, that person said that they were interested. Oh, I should concentrate. Oh, I need to contact them. But it allows you to see the opportunities that you may not have otherwise seen before because you weren't thinking about that as a step. The most important, so if we were to say that the law of attraction and the law of resonance are 2 of the most important steps in actually aligning and actually manifesting consistent income, the third most important of the 12 laws is actually the law of action. So inspired action is what really it is. If you don't take inspired action, it is simply impossible for the universe to deliver to you. It's just that simple. So what that means is wishing and dreaming are not enough. You need to take action. And that's really what this challenge is about. It's about understanding very clearly, what is it that I want out of my business? And this is what we're going to work on today is, what do I want? Then we figure out, how are we going to make that happen? And when we can get the what do I want and how am I going to make that happen come into an alignment like this, what we're really doing is we're setting the stage for the universe to be able to say, absolutely, flow, flow, flow. Here you go. Here you go. It's all yours. But step one is to be very clear in defining. We have to be very specific in defining what it is that we want. And the reason for specificity is actually so that we're not being wishy-washy, because otherwise the universe says, well, what is it? Yes or no? You want it or you don't want it? Oh, you want it. Oh, but you believe this. It's in direct opposition. So then you don't really want it, do you? So this is why the alignment is super important. So today, what we're actually going to talk about, we're going to start talking a little bit about where is your head at, right? Because if we need to be in resonance with the thing that we want to attract, and then we need to actually take inspired action, let's get really clear and specific about what it is we want. But first, let's make sure that we understand what are the things that are standing in our way. So the concept of a scarcity mindset and an abundance mindset hopefully are not that new to you. If they are, though, let's talk a little bit about scarcity mindset for starters. So the term scarcity mindset was actually first coined by Stephen Covey, and he wrote the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And there are 2 main things about that. The first one is the thought that wealth and opportunities are limited. That's what a scarcity mindset. Oh no, there's not enough. Oh, I have to do it first or there won't be anything. So if you have a belief that there may not be enough food on the shelves of the grocery store, if you believe that there's only so much money to go around and therefore I gotta dig in and grab mine, if you believe that there's not enough water, we're running out of water on the planet, you may take actions then, of course, to conserve them. So do you see how believing there isn't enough will cause you to take one set of actions? I don't think there's enough water, so I'm going to conserve water. I'll turn the water tap off while I brush my teeth. I'm not sure that there's going to be enough food on the shelves. We're heading into a recession, so I'm going to stock up while it's on sale and I have a pantry full of canned goods. Oh gosh, what are some other examples of a scarcity mindset in action? Well, imagine that it's actually about somebody who's really kind of absorbed with what's missing. Oh, if I could just have this, I'd be happy. If I could just achieve that goal, I'd have everything I needed. Oh, if I could just move to that city, then I know that I'd be content because I'd be further away from the hustle and bustle of the city. All of these times where we delay our own gratification, or when we put it off and say, oh, it's not available to me right now because I have to do something first. Any of those kinds of things, any of those times where we say, I have to get there first. Oh no, so-and-so has it, that means I can't have it. Or, when envy crops up, when jealousy crops up, those are opportunities to say, okay, here is a scarcity mindset. We're actually going to be talking a lot more about this tomorrow with Lisa Marie Botticelli, who's going to be joining us. She's actually a mindset coach who does a lot of working on your money mindset. So she's going to be coming and working with us on that. Today, though, I want to start writing down some of the examples we have in our own life where we still believe that there is a lack. So I was talking with a client this morning, and I was trying to, eloquently explain my why about why I do what I do for business. And it really actually does come down. And when I came to recognize this, I had to set about changing that. There was a period of time in my life where my late husband and his addictions, it nearly bankrupted us. And my children were not getting everything that they needed. Things had been repossessed. And so I wasn't able to work out of the small town that we lived in. And so I was working at Tim Hortons to try to bring some money in because my husband was letting it slip through his fingers as quickly as he could earn it when he worked. And so there was this period of time where my children went without, and there was a huge scarcity in our house, to the point that my children experienced me having to go to the food bank to feed them, to the point that my children observed me lose 60 pounds in 2.5 months from literally not eating so they could eat, to the point that my children watched as every single day something out of our house walked out the door in the hands of strangers when they handed me cash. And this was simply to try to save our house from being foreclosed on. So my children experienced this, and it really hit me when one day my daughter needed new runners. She had been growing. I could see that her feet were pressing to get through the tops of the shoes. She had taken them off one day and there were holes in the bottom of the shoes. And I said, "Oh, honey, I didn't realize your shoes were in such a state of disrepair. Let's go and get you new ones." And my beautiful 10-year-old daughter, actually, she was only 9 at the time, which just makes this even more heart crushing, soul crushing, looked at me and said, no, she put her hands on her face. No, mommy, we can't afford it right now. No, mommy, we can't afford it right now. And that was the first of many times. And that continued over, well, she's 17 now. It has continued over the course of the last 7 years. I am seeing signs that my daughter is still so damagingly affected by that. That my why do I do this, is so that my children can feel secure. My children will always believe there's going to be a roof over their head and food on their table. That's why I do this, so that they never have that fear again. Sorry. So if you have examples in your life where scarcity was the reality, there are some major obstacles that we need to move through. So today's activity, nice and short and sweet, today's activity is that I want you to think about your own thoughts and your own actions of times and ways and places that you have revealed a scarcity mindset to yourself. In what ways do you believe there's not enough? There's not enough food. There's not enough water. There's not enough housing. There's not enough jobs. There's not enough money. That we have to compete with one another. What are the things in your world that bring forward those feelings of competition, those feelings of insecurity? Oh no, what if? Those things that make you knuckle down and like tighten and clench. What are those things? Those are likely examples of your scarcity mindset in action. And what we want to do is we want to uncover what those specific things are so that we can actually work to move through those and kind of get past them. I'm not telling you to eliminate them. We're not going to eliminate them entirely in the course of this challenge. What we are going to learn, though, are some techniques to actually help us to live with those, move through them, and be gentle with ourselves. Because the whole point about this is being compassionate. Because if we were to go back to the law of resonance for just one moment, if you are telling yourself shitty things about yourself, if you are telling yourself that there's just not enough, if you are telling yourself, oh gosh, this is missing in my life, and if I only had this, and if I only had that, your current state of being is not going to change. And the reason for that is because you're saying, well, I want this, but there's this huge disconnection in the way that you're behaving and acting that says, but I can't have it, but I can't have it, but I can't have it. So we need to get those two things in alignment. And the first step of that is going to be uncover what are the I can't have it, I can't have it, I can't have it. An abundance mindset on the flip side of that, this is a mindset that says there's plenty to go around. There is plenty to go around, even with approaching 8 billion people on the planet. There's plenty to go around for all of us. And simply what we need to do is just be open to receiving it. If that's where you are, congratulations. You're already in an abundance mindset place, and you can ignore today. You can totally ignore today, because today is really about uncovering what are the things in our life that are saying scarce. So I'm going to give you a moment right now. Pause the video. And I want you to write down, I don't know, if you've got 10, write down 10. Just take 10 minutes and just write down as many as you can think of. I do have a prompt that I'm going to send you via email that's going to help you to say, oh yeah, I got that one. Oh yeah, I got that one too. Oh, I got that one too. And you can write them all down. Hell, maybe you just highlight them on there if you've got too many of them. And what we're going to do is we're going to, once you've got that list, we're going to make a determination of which are the ones that I have the actual ability to transmute and change today. What are some of the ones that I can actually fix through? So after we've written down what are the actual scarcity mindset situations or issues that we've got going on, we're going to take another moment to write down some of the ways that we can transmute that current scarcity mindset into an abundance mindset. And in order to help you do that, if you don't already have a copy of my abundance mindset ebook, I'm going to actually send you an excerpt that's going to give you just a highlight. Instead of a 62-page book to read, it's going to be a 5-page. And it's going to actually give you some tips on how to actually make that change. Because it's not just about making positive affirmations. Positive affirmations need to be done in a certain structure to ensure that we're, doing it in the present tense, that it's, specific enough. That lots of rules we'll learn about on Wednesday. But my goal today is, what are the mindset things that are happening right now that are telling you there's not enough? Right? What are the fears that you've got about having that available? So, for example, one of my fears early on was that I was charging too much, that I wasn't worth it, that I couldn't put my money where my mouth is. That's a silly fear. I have 30 years of experience. Of course I can. Of course I can deliver. And if I were doing it as a consultant, I'd be charging a lot more than my $300 an hour, right? So it took me a long time to actually be able to say, I'm worth it, right? And this was a lot of intentional transmutation kinds of work on those negative beliefs about myself, about being enough, about having enough, about what was available. And this all came from negative money stories that I would tell myself as a result of growing up poor and then living with an addict for 12 years. What can I tell you? So today's action step is to write down in your workbook, what are the things that I believe, what are the situations, what are the experiences that I've had in my life that tell me there's not enough, that there's something missing, and that make me feel either fearful or competitive to go and get them. All right. So once we're done that, I'm actually going to tomorrow morning, instead of using today's task, which you'll see in your workbook was today's task, to actually be specific about what it is that you want to attract, we're actually going to do that tomorrow. And the reason is because we're not doing this live, because this is pre-recorded. I can't get the back and forth with you guys to understand what some of your examples are so that I can give you feedback. However, please drop comments down below. I would be delighted to even have a one-to-one conversation with you if that's what you want to do, even in the DMs, and help you to figure out what are the scarcity mindset presentations you've got going on in your life. Quite often in a 15 to 20 minute conversation, I can actually help somebody to uncover at least, like, there's a thread that we can pull. And once I start to pull that thread, you actually start to see, oh my gosh, look at how far reaching this is, and in all the ways and places. So this is the first step to actually bringing your mental, physical, and spiritual body into alignment with the thing you are telling the universe you want. Because if you're telling them you want abundance, but you're sitting there in fear of there being enough, can't happen. So let's make sure that we understand what the fears are, what the missing pieces are, what the competition pieces, the fear. I've said fear so many times now. Let's understand what those are. So if you don't have your workbook yet, please let me know. This is being sent to you via email. So if you haven't signed up through the landing page, I guess we would call that, if you didn't sign up through the landing page, then you won't have received your workbook yet. Please send me a DM and send me your email address so that we're not playing with the Facebook jail stuff. And I feel like I'm really scattered today. I feel like that little tech issue has set me off. I may come back a little bit later today and say more because I feel like, oh my gosh, all the things I wanted to say have slipped through the cracks. So have a wonderful day, guys. I hope that you have found this first bit helpful. I'm going to put up a little video that I found on YouTube that actually explains the 12 laws. That's why I didn't go into explaining them today, even though they're in the workbook, because I found a video that did it beautifully. So I'm going to post that here in the group as well. And we'll go from there. So day one, let's get activated. Let's start thinking about what are the things in my brain that I have been focusing on, that I have been telling myself, oh, there's not enough. Oh my gosh, I need to be afraid. Oh my gosh, I need to compete for that resource. Oh my gosh, right? All of the negative thoughts that come in around our business, right? And around income. Those are what we're looking for specifically. I'm not talking about the, oh, I'm fat. I don't mean that, because I do look at myself and I think that. That's not stopping the universe from giving me all of the consistent income that I want though, right? So we're talking specifically about what are these things that are happening in our head, these beliefs that we've got, these actions, we're acting on those. Oh, I want abundance, but I don't think there's enough, so I hoard, is an example. When we hoard, we're now taking more than our share. So we've upset the balance again. And this is what the 12 laws are all about. When you see that video, the 12 laws are all about creating the balance. So how do we get into balance? We start recognizing those places where we're taking more than we're giving. And we are taking more than we are giving in those places where we believe there's not enough. So today's action, write down where and why and how. What are the ways that your belief that there's not enough comes forward? All right. If you've got any questions, send me a DM. I look forward to hearing from you all. And I will be very active in this group this week, obviously being my first challenge. This video will also be available on my Facebook page. If you're not a friend with me already, then by all means, send me a friend request. If you haven't sent a friend request around with the others, by all means, do that as well. I do expect another 15 people to be joining our group before the end of the day. There you go. As well, I guess, mention your VIP special, Danielle. Okay, so one thing that I wasn't as, I'm going to say effective. I wasn't as effective at talking about my VIP experience option as I should have been. Could have been. Let's not say should. We don't use should around here. As I could have been. My coach tells me that in spite of my belief that we should never drop our price, that when we're doing special events like this, dropping your price is absolutely appropriate. So what I've done is I've actually put together a sweet little VIP experience for anybody who would be interested in this. It's a 2-hour one-on-one session with me where we're going to actually develop your strategy. You get to pick my brain and I get to help you actually make decisions about what to keep and what to toss and why. So you will feel very, very confident about why you are following the plan you are following. So that's what the point of that strategy session is. It's to help get you, excuse my nose, to get you into alignment with the very things that you want to do. And then we make sure that your inspired actions actually line up to those goals as well. So that's what that 2-hour one-on-one with me is. You get to pick my brain. I also have a manifestation journal to give you, and I also have arranged to get a wonderful self-hypnosis, meditation-y, unconscious, limiting belief, money block lifting, awesome recording that the lovely Caitlin Rowley, who's a certified hypnotherapist, has provided for us. So I'm going to be able to give you that as well if you opt in for the VIP special. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe I made that 2-hour special $247 USD, and it's like a $500 savings. It's crazy, but there you go. So if you would like to spend some time with me one-on-one and you'd like to do that at a very, very discounted rate, then please get in touch with me via DM, and I would be delighted to have that 2 hours with you so that we can make sure that you are getting in full alignment and creating the inspired actions to help you achieve your consistent income. All right, everybody, have a wonderful rest of your Monday. Like I said, probably going to come back because today I'm so scattered. It's all over the place. Have a wonderful day. Bye now.